Hello everybody, my name is Korri Samad bin Pettiford, and I am 22 years old and I'm a working man. I have been diagnosed with something before and it was ADHD, so that's that. That I was like a junior in high school and I don't know, everyone was taking like Vyvanse and like freaking, Adderall. And so I was just like, yeah, I want that too. Like I need to be focused. And so I went, and I definitely did have ADHD though, because I've always been like hyper and just like nuts. How did you react to being diagnosed? Well, personally, whenever I found out that I had ADHD, I was excited because I wanted to take like ADHD medication to be focused in school and stuff. And at first, it was like wonderful. Like I was like zooming through, like I was like doing so well, especially in math. Like I've always been so bad at math. And I remember whenever I started doing my ADHD medication, I was on Vyvanse, I started getting super focused and just like super like into it. And then I started noticing like different things and stuff about the medication and how it like affected my body and like my mental health, which is like the fucking worst. Like what the hell? Like how the hell does a thing that's supposed to help your mental health like fuck it up? Like just saying. How has it affected your relationships? I would say that positively, because it's helped me to like learn who I am as a person and like grow and just be more confident in who I am. So obviously if I'm like confident in who I am, I'm bringing a good piece to a puzzle. However, I can say that like, anxiety or like ADHD won't affect. Like sometimes I feel like people would think like, oh, like you have ADHD, so like you're too much or something. Like, it's like all over the place. Like, and it's like, all right, I gotta slow it down, like tone it down. But then I go through this thing where it's like, well, I'm not trying to like stop my own fucking shine here. Like, I just want to be who the fuck I am and live my life. Like, and that's a challenge that happens sometimes. Just like being, I guess like observing myself and then wondering how like, that affects other people like a lot of the times. How are you being treated professionally, self-medicating, etc.? Well, as I said, there was a time in my life where I was being medicated, professionally. I was taking Vyvanse for maybe about like 6 months, and it was just like after a while, maybe like the first 3 months it was like beautiful, and then the last 3 was like the worst 3 months of my life. As soon as I took the medication, that's when I started getting a little like anxious and stuff, and like starting noticing anxiety. I had like weird like muscle twitches that I still have to this day. Like like my nerves switch from time to time. It's just like strange. Okay. What would you tell someone else in your position? I'm always team. What the hell is it? Big Pharma. Yeah, no, for real. Because I feel like they just put you inside medication and want to fuck you up even more to make more fucking money. Like that's just whack. Like ew. Granted, there are people who do need these medications, and it does help them immensely. And so for that, that's from you. But based off of my experience and like what I've gone through with it, it's not for me. Like I just don't like it. And the close friends that I have had who I've talked to about mental health and mental illness and stuff, I've always just been on the side of like, maybe you should try to go like the holistic route. Like I've always been like, oh, like there aren't any herbs that you can get together and just like, smoke that up. Like, not necessarily like weed. Like I'm not even necessarily just talking about weed, but like, different things. I don't think that popping a pill is necessarily like the best way, depending on your diagnosis and what's going on. Like for like anxiety or like ADHD, like there's definitely things that you can do to jump into your core and just like calm everything around you down. Like, for me. What's the most offensive thing someone has said about your illness? It's probably that it just doesn't exist, or like anxiety, like, oh, that's not real. And that's so common in African American and like just black households in general. I feel like had, some of the generations before us, like had these discussions that we're having right now and like talked, a lot of the stress and anxiety would have gone away like generations ago, I just feel like in the black community, we just try to like, for whatever reason, I feel like we feel like talking about certain things that hurt us or affect us or show weakness in any way, kind of like affects our family or like makes us like lesser than, like makes us weak as a family unit. And it's not true. Like the stronger we are as individuals is the stronger we are together. how has this affected your academics and occupation? Like I've like quit so many jobs. Like honestly, I've quit jobs. Like I've gotten new jobs. I've gotten fired from jobs. Like, and a lot of it has to do with my ADHD. Like I've just been kind of like I have to move around. Like for instance, this last job that I had, I was working at a hotel. I hated it. Like I was front desk at the hotel, and like they had me doing everything there. That's number one. Like, but mainly front desk. So I would be there standing on my feet for 8 hours at a time, just like with nobody even really checking in or checking out, and me just standing there. And I have ADHD, like I have to move around. Like that's not for me. Like I can't sit there. Like my check was pretty nice every 2 weeks, but I was just like, fuck it, like this isn't what I want to do with my life. Like I'm not supposed to be here. Like this is boring. Like I have ADHD. Like, what am I standing behind a desk for hours for? I mean, I would say the most positive thing that has come out of it has been just like development of self. Like if anything, it's just made me more confident in who I am and made me like know who I am a lot more and how I can navigate in society, and it really makes me step into my power and realize like I'm powerful. What do you wish you could tell your younger self? Yo, I wish I could tell you so much, Korri. I don't know, like you know what I always say though? Honestly, I always say like if I met myself like at a younger time and I knew like what my life would be like and like everything that I've gone through and stuff, and like see myself now and like who I am as a person and like what I try to strive for, I would say that I'm proud. And I would tell my younger self to keep doing your thing, keep doing your thing. And it may get a little bit confusing at times, it may get a little confusing, and the life that you are going to live is not easy. But you know that you stay true to yourself and stay true to what makes you happy. And even if, basically you know who you are, and even if you're going through the worst thing ever, because you're going to, just realize that you're strong and you know who you are, and God loves you, and you love God, and you love your family, and you love life, and you love your mental health, and you love everything.